Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. It's Sean. Hopefully you'd like, subscribe, and share, be a part of this growing community. I can see that there are some repeat watchers, but they're not subscribed yet. Please go ahead and subscribe. It really does help my channel. And for someone like me that's bringing science to beauty and helping you to become more informed before you buy product, I'd really like to get my channel out there to help other people. And for those of you who are new, I have my background in molecular microbiology and biochemistry. I bring science to beauty, and I just want you to become more educated. I know there's so many products that are marketed to us on the daily. In fact, I do reviews, makeup tutorials, and makeup reviews, skincare reviews as well. But the one thing that I would always say, and anybody who's been with me for a while, you can attest to this: look in your arsenal, see where there's a void. And if this is something you're curious about, something that you want to try, something that's been on your bucket list, and I just gave you some intel, then I would say go ahead and take the plunge. But I don't work for these companies where I'm here selling their products. I'm here to get you educated and informed first, and then you decide whether or not those products will work for you. This is about brand awareness. It is not about sales, at least for me. So without further ado, let's get into this topic. This topic is skincare in your 20s. What should that look like? And do I need to bring in a retinol? Let's get into it. Okay, friends who are 17 and 24, you've been reaching out to me. You asked me about retinol. I've also gotten a few letters where people who have used retinol and they start to look older. They've got deeper wrinkles, they look like they aged, they don't look like they're 25, they look like they're older than that. So here's the thing, I know retinol has been considered in the past the golden standard. It is being revisited because it is not blanketed across the board that every time someone uses a retinol, you're going to look younger. That is going to be debunked on this channel right now. In fact, people are not talking about what retinol does to you on a cellular level. And if you want to know more about that, check out my video, The Truth About Retinol, that gives you some deep intel on what retinol does to you on a cellular level. I don't use retinol, and I will never use retinol. I'm not a proponent of retinol. I always say bakuchiol is a great alternative, giving you the same results as a retinol, but without the harmful side effects. And I'm talking about those who have had great results with retinol. Now, when you're in your 20s, I am not telling you to go after any anti-aging products. I'm telling you that in your 20s, around that age group of 17 to 24, you're looking at protection and prevention. You're not looking at anti-aging. What people are doing in their 40s is not what you're doing in your 20s. Why I say that is because in your 20s, your collagen is still strong, cells turnover is still fast, the skin's barrier is not really compromised, right? Now, there's things that you can do, good or bad, that will disrupt or can cause the skin to look aged over time. For example, sun exposure, right? Being out in the sun for a very long period of time and not using sun protection, that will compromise the skin's barrier and you start to age and you'll end up having hyperpigmentation. Sun is a drying agent as well, so just remember that. So if you're not using moisturizing agents that really plumps up the skin, helps it to stay more resilient, then you're going to be looking at aging, because the sun is good for like 15 minutes. They tell us to stay out in the sun, but it can be denaturing. It can definitely be a dehydrant. This is the reason why they would tell you when you're running a marathon, you need to be drinking water because you're out there in the sun, okay? So it has its good and it has its bad. Being astute to that is going to be important when you're thinking about a skincare routine. Now, here's the next thing. You're gonna have breakouts because of the hormonal changes. So we're not talking about reversing damage, we're talking about preventing it. The skin's barrier wants to be acidic, so we're not using drying agents, we're not using products that are going to take us alkaline where you end up with psoriasis and eczema. The skin's pH is between 4.5 and a 6. It doesn't want to be a 14, it doesn't want to be a 12, right? And it doesn't want to be too acidic down to a 2 or a 3, because then you're looking at acne. Okay, so there's different factors play into this with the skincare routine, but I'm wanting to give you the understanding and the foundation so that you understand why you're doing what you're doing. Does that make sense? Okay, so now when it comes to collagen, right? Collagen is one that depletes 1% per year when you're right around 25 years old, and you don't even see it, to be honest. It's only when you start to get, older that you start to see the decline if you're not using products to help you. But again, in your 20s, the skincare routine is all about prevention and protection and making sure that the skin is moisturized, the skin is within the right threshold as far as pH goes, so that you can have a long-lasting, healthy skin that is backed by science. Let's look at a cleanser that's free from surfactants, any drying agents, because your skin's barrier is the first line of defense, right? It's preventing moisture loss, it's trying to fight bacteria, fight against MMPs, which is metalloproteinases, which degrades the skin. So the goal here is to use cleansers that are not going to compromise the skin's barrier. So anything that is non-stripping. And I don't think any of us want to use any kind of stripping cleansers, whether you're in your 40s, 50s, or higher. We want to use a cleanser that is free from drying agents. So let's go into a serum. Serums that have antioxidants like your vitamin C, your niacinamide, that would be great to include into your routine. These oxidative stresses that we have out here in these streets, from blue light, from being outside, it takes a toll on the skin. So you want to protect your skin from pollution and UV, all the harmful aggressives out here in the environment, and you're going to do that by using antioxidants like vitamin C and a niacinamide to neutralize the oxidative stress. The skin is mostly lipids, so we want to feed it what it needs to stay strong. So we're looking at a moisturizer that has ceramides and glycerin in there, hyaluronic acid, which we know hyaluronic acid is one of those popular out here, right? Everybody's talking about hyaluronic acid. The problem is, you gotta ask Siri what the humidity or the index is, the humidity index is in your city, because if the humidity index is in the trash, using a hyaluronic acid is not going to help you, because hyaluronic acid is trying to draw water or moisture from the atmosphere onto the skin to keep the skin plump. And if there is no moisture in the atmosphere, it can't do its job. So the goal then is to use a hydrating spray like rose water, cucumber spray, lavender water, whatever it is that you want to use that you're not, allergic to. But if the humidity index is right where you need it to be, right there between that 30-50%, then you're Gucci. You can go ahead and use your hyaluronic acids. So that's something I want you to think about as well. Definitely we want a sunscreen. We hear this a ton, and that is definitely one I'm going to always say. You need a sunscreen. Sunscreens are going to prevent damage to collagen, and anything an SPF between 30 and 50%. There's some really great sunscreens out there. I also have a couple of videos on sunscreens that are not good for the skin that can definitely be carcinogenic. So make sure you check out those videos too, so you can see those ingredients. I don't want to go too deep down the rabbit hole because I can go very long with science. And so I'm going to try to stay on topic here. But if you do want to find out more about, the dangers of sunscreens and what I do recommend from what I don't, then definitely check out my videos on sunscreens. Okay, so let's talk for a second about nighttime, right? Because the skin's reparative process is peaked at night. Nothing is interfering with that process happening. Now, I always say if you're going to use something with vitamin C, use it at nighttime, because vitamin C's differ in which form of vitamin C a lab decides to use for a skincare brand, right? We have so many derivatives of it, and ascorbic is the most unstable. So if you're going to use something with ascorbic, then use it at nighttime. That's all I'm going to say to that. The vitamin C serum that I always talk about and really stand by is the one from Kiehl's, because they use activated C. Now, again, your cell turnover is pretty high, but if you feel like you need to use an exfoliant, look for exfoliants, if it's going to be a chemical one, with salicylic or lactic acid, something where the molecular structure is not as small, because glycolic is small, it's very aggressive. And again, right now, you're not looking at going with aggressive treatments, you're just looking at protection and prevention. The next thing that I highly recommend is, moisturizing masks. Like if you're going to, use something with beta-glucan or aloe, You know, those hydrating masks are really good for the skin. And then clay masks are really good too. Bentonite, kaolin, they're really good for getting rid of excess oil. If you're finding you're an oily skin type, those kind of masks would be very beneficial. So that was your science-backed skincare routine where no retinol was needed anywhere in that routine. Remember, it's not about harsh ingredients and actives. It is all about having a healthy foundation. And the goal here is to make sure that you're hydrating, you're protecting, and you're helping to support so that your 30s and your 40s will come along and people are like, wow, what age are you? Because you don't look like you're in that age group. Like, you've been taking care of your skin must have been from a long time ago, you know, and that is the goal here. The goal is to be educated and not falling for all the marketing ploys that are out there. Now, leave your comments and your questions below. I'm going to start a series where I'm debunking a lot of myths. You know, I've seen some things on TikTok, y'all. I'm just like, no, that is an absolute no. You know, and even in makeup routines where I'm seeing people using tape, I'm going to take a deep dive into that because that's not something that I advocate either. I don't advocate for you using these kind of techniques that are going to cause micro tears or be abrasive to the skin. Just because you cannot see it does not mean you're not causing damage. Just remember that. Things on a cellular level you can't see. It's only what you're seeing outwardly. But on a cellular level, that's what's going to show up later on in life. And that is why I want to educate you now. Because yes, you may see my skin looks hydrated and plump with me using this retinol, but you're not seeing what it's doing to you under the surface. That can take its toll later on, right? I always said this in the past. It's not what we did in our 20s and 30s that determines how we look right now. It's what we do in our 20s and 30s that determines how we look later on in our 60s and 70s. Your lifestyle, smoking, drinking, partying, you know, not having a skincare routine, all those things, if you're doing that now in your 20s, it's going to show up on in your 40s, your 50s, and your 60s. And you're going to wish you did the right things when you had the time, when your skin was at its peak, right? Because your skin is still very resilient here in your early 20s. So I'm hoping that I provided context. If you have any questions for me or you want me to take a deeper dive into some other ingredients or another form of a skincare routine, then definitely let me know. But I'm here for you all. I love you. I want you to be empowered, and I'll see you all in my next one. Ciao for now.